Bureau. So if we're not gonna have to do that, then we won't have, I mean, we'll still need a CPA, but at least not for that type of.
Part of what we haven't, again, entertained or gotten into yet, we have a draft of it, city attorney and we've been working on it, is the actual agreement between the city, the Chamber of Commerce, the actual leasing of the building. There is no official lease. Those will all be coming to the council for approval. But those will be something, again, part of what we're discussing tonight is just in a nutshell, the funding that you're willing to provide for this coming year. And what we can sustain, right, as far as what we bring in as far as collections, what we're anticipating collections to be. So we are working on the other part, which again is the contract with them, contract and release. Those are, in my opinion, are the bigger issues that we would have to take care of before, we actually give them their funding for, whatever budget the council approves. So I just wanted to make sure the council was aware that those are items that you'll be seeing probably in the next month or so.
The only thing, Mayor, the only thing is, like you said, Dr. Sanchez, Oscar, is exactly echoing of what Mayor is saying. This is the beginning of the organization, and I think, we need to start to where we can develop that organization and bring it up so that we can start moving. You're gonna be a huge asset to the city of Pearsall when it comes to, the development of the economic development branch of it. So, I think it's beginning, I don't think we're gonna expect that much amount of money to, per se, but it's a beginning of where we're gonna go and start. Don't get discouraged.
Just to help the council out a little bit, on the, I believe there's an item on there, maybe I'm wrong here, maybe I am. I was, on events, is there any events that you guys, assuming that you receive funding, that you guys would look at, hosting as far as the Chamber of Commerce or something to have in mind?
We have a lot of ideas for events, but it's harder to say, like, yeah, we're gonna do this and this without looking at money and budget,
How much would you need for that event?
to have an event.
I'm kind of turning it around on
So we've got, I put together bids for, defense, again, the budget will dictate everything, we've got carnival rides, we've got family events that we could potentially pull off is like a summer, we were talking about a summer festival early on, that's kind of coming around, but
Yes.
maybe a fall festival, it might be a little short for that, but.
Or something like the bringing back the potato fest.
Right,
Yeah,
we're trying to put a festival together, again, we're, trying to put the best ideas together, what would be best.
So you had a promotion of, I don't know if you took that from the budget of $100,000, or that's something that you guys had some idea?
Yeah, that was in the first budget, so we, again, left it in there, but
I see.
we know that's,
So it's not,
there's
you
an
don't have,
event already going on.
you guys don't have,
No.
the events for the $100,000?
Correct, yeah. So again, early on in our planning, since we're given a potential budget, we just put that line item in.
Fred,
But in the budget will determine what type of event.
sorry.
Yes, sir.
Fred, throughout the year, if they do decide to, create an event, they come up with a budget, we could always release those funds, correct?
You could potentially, again, assuming it's within the budget, and so, again, the whole purpose is to make sure that the city, that we manage our funds based on what we're receiving. And so that's kind of what we do have a reserve, right? We have some reserves for hotel tax. And saying that, we're looking at operating costs year to year, how much can we truly afford to provide them or any other agency? So that's where we're at right now. I know that that's their proposed budget, and now we came back with a budget to scale down. But we stayed within, our goal is to balance the budget, and that's what we do.
And we're willing again, if the budget is say 10,000, we can go out and get food trucks here and get certain games that will come within that budget. Given a bigger budget, then we can expand, and again, every dollar will go to these vendors, be it, again, we talked about carnival rides or other things that do cost money. Every dollar will have a name on it, and it'll be transparent. Everybody will know, it'll be bid out, obviously, so.
And 342 does have 25,000 for the
Great.
And that's budgeted for them for that, just that very thing, for their development of community event. Okay, very good, council. Anything else?
Fred, do you know when you're gonna have it ready, the agreement between the chamber and the city?
We can have a draft to you, we haven't shared the draft with you guys either, but we could probably email you a draft, and then share it with the council. Maybe at the next meeting, if y'all aren't too tired.
Just so they have that in case they can.
Yeah, and actually, now that we're talking about that, that was one of my concerns at least, because I wanna be able to see that before we settle on something like this. I don't know if the time's gonna allow for that, but,
It will. Yeah, we don't approve budget till October first, so we have, but we should have the time. Again, part of that again is setting the dollars aside, and then two is whether it happens before or after is saying that, you know, we do have an agreement, right, whatever, and that, by that, I don't think there's a dollar amount tied to the agreement, it's just saying this is what we decide we're gonna, or we're gonna, and we can share that with you, so you guys can take a peek at it and share it with the council. I believe there was an agreement, back in, I don't know, 15, 16, somewhere, when we looked at that agreement. This is a little different in the sense that I believe we're basically gonna have an agreement for the, again, the chamber / CBB, and then, an agreement for the lease of the building. So there's two separate, agreements.
And we'll provide accounting, and based on the nonprofit status, there's certain accounting that we have to do, that we'll share as well. But depending on how, how much the city wants, as far as if they want a monthly accounting from a CPA, from a quarterly, just kind of our concern as far as about the budget, making sure we have the funds to pay CPA. We've all reached out to our contacts, trying to get a CPA that'll do it, no luck for free, but we're, still always start, trying to take bids for that. But depending on how much accounting, how strict that would be,
Yes, sir.
as far as the budget for that service, professional service.
All right, thank you very much. Anything else, council? Chamber, thank you. Again, thank you very much. We really appreciate what y'all are doing and all the time out of your stuff. Off your own clock. Fred, who would you call it?
Whoever wants to,
Doc?
Doc, you want us to come up here and?
With the Pioneer Days?
Good evening.
Good evening.
Well, and I was asked to present something, but I'm not sure what to present. All of them. No, and basically, y'all know I'm with the Trail Pioneer and Jail Museum, and it's the really the most historic building in Frio County at this point, other than the old courthouse that's about to fall apart down out in Freetown. I look on the wall and see some of the old historic photographs. I appreciate that. Mr. Race, he's told me about some of these things. And so anyway, the Frio Pioneer Day is part of that commemoration of our history. We try to have that day, the reenactors, we had a group called Badlands, and came out and some skits, had a very large front scenery, and really had an engaging time with the youngsters that day. And this past March, when we had our event, was probably the best event that we've had in our 25-year history. So we appreciate everything and everyone that has helped us along the way. Back in March, we presented that, and the council agreed to fund us with $7,500, I think, back in that time frame. The event actually wound up costing us close to $11,000, and so, but we did have Texas Camel Corps come down, and he had his camels there, and so that was kind of unique. We had done that in coordination with the Texas History Week earlier in March, but because of scheduling, he was able to come this year with our Pioneer Day, and so we were able to incorporate that with that day. And it was just really a very nice turnout. Mr. Mayor, you were there, and a big part of it, and so we're just looking to continue this for the foreseeable future.
Doc, do you have a date for this coming year when you think you might have it?
It's going to be that last Saturday of March, whatever that turns out. I haven't
You know how long the city,
Mona has, but I haven't.
you know how long the city's been supporting the,
Off and on for a few years. Going back probably 15 or 18 years, we got some hotel motel tax then, kind of stopped, and then we've been back, presenting for 4 years, 5 years maybe.
I know when I was on the council in 17, Councilman Leal, you might remember, I remember them coming and requesting at least that long ago.
It's been several years.
Okay, so we've got that figure, 7,500, council, that's what we did last year.
Is the city of Pearsall the only one that contributes to this event?
And they have
as
other
far as
funds.
government?
Well, and this being on a county grounds and a county facility, they take care of the grounds and all of that, but, as far as, money is concerned, this is the only stipend that we depend on. Of course, we had an auction that day and we make some money, but it doesn't cover the entire cost.
Okay, nobody, as far as the other than grounds and maintenance, who actually maintains the museum itself, is it just the?
If there's anything major, we have to depend on the county. Since it, technically, we have a 100-year lease or whatever it is, with the county. But, air conditioning and roofing, major, but we have painted internally, done some upkeep and so forth, so we depend on ourselves as much as possible.
Maybe we need to bring it up to the county.
I know just the person.
Yeah, I'll make a note.
All right, y'all,
Anything else?
thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Motormouth?
Hello, good evening, council, good evening. I'm like you, Doc, I was actually just invited to come by. As you all know, I'm already under contract for 3 years with you all, so I'm really not asking for any funds at the moment, since, like I said, I'm actually already under contract, and my funds have already been set up for that and stuff. So, but if there's any questions that I can answer, I'd be more than happy to answer questions at this time. Regarding our,
One of the things that came up was how soon we could start planning for it, and I know we've been getting better at it. I think the first year we did this, maybe, how long was it, for a month maybe, that we had to plan?
the first year I was given 5 weeks to pull it off.
It's
Yes.
getting better, and I guess, in saying that, if one of the discussions was, is that we could plan further ahead, and we could have more things for the public, carnivals, and I know we talked about that, so, that's just one of the discussions that, as we start approving these budgets, start planning for, I hate to say it, it's not, we haven't had this event, but
Right.
start planning for the future.
Right, yes, and I'm pretty sure everybody recalls the first year was about 5-6 weeks. The second year, about maybe 2.5, 3 months, because of the way things were just being run. The third year, I did have about 4.5 months, and this one we started in March. So we're about 85% done with the project. It's looking very, very successful. We're looking forward to a successful event, but yes, I agree. I mean, just like anything, you always, as soon as it's over, you want to start planning for next year.
The date again?
This year, October 13th and 14th, Mayor.
And it's at?
Yes, sir. I chose a big community sports complex this year.
So, with Fred, and Mr. Martinez, is exactly what my question and concern was. There's a very little backlash as far as the location in the bed.
Right.
And one of the things that when I drove around this past weekend was, I believe Little League is out there. And, I don't know if anybody noticed, but where the cars were parking on top of the grass going into the, so I was concerned, because then they come back to the council, and we're expected for us to fix and cover that cost in the wear and tear of that area. So that's something that we would wanna consider planning this event way in advance, so that we can get the pros and cons and that data back to us to say, is this location suitable for this type of event?
Agreed.
And the safety and all that stuff that's alarming, because, and I've told this to city manager, the concern that I have is the alcohol involved in it. Somebody drives off of 35 and they're gonna come back to the city and point the finger at the city, you know? And that's where I think I wanna be able to do our due diligence and figure out, okay, where do we go, you know, how's this gonna
Right.
work?
Agreed, and like I said, we've got about 85% of this project that's officially done, and believe it or not, the other 15 is that part of the plan right there, how it's gonna be controlled, my staff, how it's gonna control our security, parking, which I believe we're already, towards the part where we're working on how we're gonna, you know, take care of that as far as, because we've got the plan where we're gonna park people, but I was just, about a week and a half ago, I was, aware of the Mr. Trevino's property that's right there as you drive in. They're cleaning it up, but out of courtesy, I do wanna go and meet with her and just let her know, hey, this is Pearsall, right? They're gonna park on that property. You might wanna make arrangements to see what you can do, or, you know, she might even just say, well, I'll just charge for parking. But that would be strictly on the owner of that property, and do y'all know the property I'm talking about, right? They just, Santa decided to clean it up all of a sudden, she's doing a real good job. But I just feel that people are gonna see that and take advantage of it and park there. But out of courtesy, I wanna go and talk to her and just let her know, hey, this is what you're expecting, you know, a couple thousand people out here. You know, even though I'm looking at the Gilliam area parking behind where the transfer station area is at, the people are still gonna try to take advantage of it. So I just wanna give her a heads up on what is possibly coming.
And security-wise, Mr. Martinez, are you been in contact with PD or sheriff's office, or who's gonna be?
I'm
assisting them?
in contact every year. I go and meet whoever, at the time of the chief, let them know, but I do bring in my own personal security for it. And mind you, last year it went well. No problems whatsoever.
Well,
They
we've
went
had
flat.
issues in the past whenever you reached out to the city and they worked there. And then we had some several issues, so there's issues with city employees working on the event
We
like
will not be
this.
working that event.
Yeah, just to clarify that. I mean, but I still will
Yeah.
reach out to the chief just to let him know.
Yeah.
October the 13th and the 14th, if he could maybe just allow them to go out there and patrol, just make an entrance,
President.
but I'll meet with him at a later time for that.
Mayor,
Go ahead, Councilman.
we've had several talks about getting the proper equipment or building the proper setup for the demand that is required for an event of this magnitude. And we speak about it every year, after every year, after every year, and we seem not to actually accomplish what we speak. Now, is there
Specifically, what are you
plan-
talking about, specifically?
I'm talking about power output.
Electrical.
Yeah. Is there a plan that we have? I mean, personally, I think the complex is an amazing location for an event of this size. I think that in the future, you can incorporate softball tournaments, have the youth out there playing softball, have a co-ed, you could have different events. It's just basically putting it all together and collectively making it work. But I do believe that power is an issue.
It is.
And if we could somehow put it in a plan to get the delivery there, so we can utilize those funds to promote more, or to actually put into the entertainment.
Yep.
And if we invest in something like that, then the chamber can go ahead and utilize it as well for events that they need. And we have the resources for anyone that wants to host an event there.
One of the
Go
things
for it.
we do need to consider with that is this is the 5th year and we've had it in 3 different places. So we just need to make sure we're in the right place. We made some big electrical improvements downtown for our market days and it's great. But we're
It was
not
never
utilizing
utilized.
it. So we just need to make sure that's where we're gonna stay.
How's an overpriced product?
Part of what,
Point made.
part of what we're looking at, again, part of that is the council approved the resolution for the grant, the matching grant for that area. Part of what is gonna be part of that plan, again, you don't have all the details, but it is improvements to that spot.
I mean,
So-
and that might be something we could look into, Fred, is maybe possibly relocating 25,000 we got right there in the corner there, and move it into a location that we can utilize more.
I think what I think I mentioned, but I'll say this, is I think as a council, as we move forward with improvements to the facility out there, the sports complex, or any facility for that matter, is that you put on paper what we wanna do, even if it's not, you know, that may change, right? But put something on paper so we can all visually see what it is that we wanna do, which would include electrical, which would include walking trails, which would include, facilities, which would include, you know, anything else that you wanna see, cause I think that's, you know, we all kind of, and me included, have it in my head that, this is gonna happen, but if we don't see it